Hi everyone, so I wanted to do my update for you all. I am 3/4 of the way through The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. I'm really excited that I'm almost finished, and it kind of went downhill from my last update. I was a little bit gushing last time because I loved it, and I did up until part 2 finished, and then something happened, and I didn't dislike it for that happening, but I felt like the plot ended, and then there's more. And we haven't gotten to the point to set up for how we see President Snow in the Hunger Games trilogy, and there's just so much that I'm kind of annoyed about because it was gonna be so good and it had the potential, and then it switched. So I got through part 1 and part 2. Part 1 was excellent, part 2 was pretty good. Part 3, I don't like any of it so far. And I'm really disappointed in that. And I'm gonna finish it, I'm not gonna DNF it, because I want to see if she can redeem herself, if the author redeems this whole situation or not, but it's a little bit disappointing because of that. The plot felt like it should have ended here, and it didn't. There's more to happen, so we'll see how that plays out. Another thing that kind of surprised me is when I got to the end of part 2, I set the book down, I was like, wow, you know, that was quite a shock at the end there, and I set the book down and I didn't want to pick it back up. And that's not really normal, especially for Suzanne Collins, because if nothing else, her writing style usually pulls me back in, and it didn't. I did read a good portion of this at once. I read probably 1/4 of the book in one day, which I've been reading it pretty slow otherwise. So maybe I was just tired of it, but I have to say I'm not thrilled. I'm not looking forward to where it's going, and I just don't know. It's showing different aspects of the world of Panem, all of Panem, and that's kind of interesting. The world building is, I like the world building, but it's not prevalent to the plot as far as I can tell yet. And I don't know, I know we're supposed to be following this for a character and not for a story, but the beginning set us up to follow it for a story. And then we reach the end of that story, and right now it's like we're writing on a subplot, and that's really frustrating for me. So anyhow, hopefully it'll redeem it. I will give you guys my end thoughts for Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes.
Quick update, and I guess before I give my update on what I'm reading, I should explain what our plans are for these reading vlogs going forward. So we've decided to make a slight change to them. They're still going to go up every 2 weeks, like normal on Monday every other week. The difference here is going to be that instead of doing updates at the end of each week and in the middle of each week, we are going to do updates at the end of each week, and or beginning, however you consider that. And then we will only do updates in the middle of the week if we have something that we need to talk about. So if we finished a book or something, or we really have something that's very necessary for us to talk about, then we'll do an update in the middle of the week. So other than that, nothing's changing. Let's get into the update. So I am now on chapter 78 of Oathbringer by Brandon Sanderson, page 764, and nearing the 2/3 mark. So because of the way that Brandon writes these Stormlight books, he basically has 3 stories put into them, and so I'm nearing the finale of the second story, if you will, that second big chunk. Technically he splits the book into 5 parts, but there's also kind of 3 parts within that this one book. So I'm nearing the end of that second part, and it's pretty cool. I'm very interested to see how it pans out and how it ends, because this is, I don't know, I like it. I'm really enjoying it. I'm not sure that I like it more than Words of Radiance or Way of Kings, but it's definitely interesting. There's some very cool parts about it. I'm very excited to get to book 4, Rhythm of War, but I'm not there yet. And I'm trying to decide, because by the time I finish this, it'll probably be the second week of December. And that's kind of a long ways into December, especially since I have Rhythm of War and Lord of the Rings that I have to read in December, which I think I can do. I just have to actually get through them. And once winter break starts, then or Christmas break starts, I'll be able to have a lot more time to read, so that'll help. We'll see what happens. yeah, that's about it for now. We will talk to you guys later.
Alright y'all, time for my update. I have made a lot of progress and it's been a full week since I last updated you and I'm really excited. Starting off, I finished The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes and oh, this was very much following a villain as I knew and expected, but it was still very disturbing. The last chapter, the last 2 chapters were so twisted. I mean, it was from the villain's perspective, so it makes sense. But I liked the book. I liked the first 2/3 of the book, and then like I mentioned before, I felt like it should have ended before we read the last third. I felt like the story ended, but it wasn't set up right. So I gave us this last third. I didn't enjoy it at all. It was partly because any respect you had for the main character, you lost, essentially. It's really well written. The plot is the main problem I have. Everything else is just personal taste. I didn't personally like how this changed and how the character changed. Of course, I mean, it's a villain. Personally, do I like the book as a whole? No. I mean, I don't think I'd read it again. If I did, I would probably just read the first 2/3 of the book, which is the part I like. But that last, remember how I said the last 2 chapters were really twisted, showed some really twisted things? They were so well written, and it was really amazing seeing that. Here's another minor thing. I felt like there was a lot of nods towards places or small things that we see in the Hunger Games series. That was a little too blatant. We could figure that out without them giving us a specific detail. Things we can put together on our own. And it's also interesting, like maybe I'm thinking about it too much, but it didn't feel like we needed all of that connection. I feel like there should have been more of a distance, more of a little bit more distance from the settings that we saw in Hunger Games, the Hunger Games series. Anyhow, it was really well written, and like I said, the first 2/3 of the book I loved. The last third was really frustrating to read, but it was really well written. I didn't necessarily like it, but it was a good book, if that makes sense. I also read Matched by Ali Condi. It's a dystopian romance type of book, and I was a little bit hesitant as to whether or not I would like it. And I think I did. I think I liked it overall. It was very much a little bit shocking, a little bit surprising. There were some great plot twists. Things happened, and I didn't anticipate a lot of it, which is really good. I like when I don't see things coming in a story. There's things that frustrate me. Part of the reason this world is a little interesting, and I've heard people mention this before, how people can see they don't like dystopian worlds because it shows them, they can see too much of what our world could be in that. And I've never noticed that in the previous dystopians I've read, which isn't a lot. It's been Hunger Games, The Giver, and Divergent, and I haven't even completed Divergent. And so those, and The Maze Runner, I guess, would technically be one as well. People say that they can see our world becoming that, and I never could, but with this book you can, and it's really, really terrifying. What happens when the government tries to take away all of your freedom? There's a lot of issues, and what was scary is that what was called a society, which was the government essentially, gave them just enough freedom for them to be contented, and just enough for them to, as I think they put it, roll over on their backs and let their bellies be rubbed with that. And it's a little bit disturbing because it's very much like that. So that was interesting to see. It was the first book in, I don't know how long the series is. I think it's a trilogy. And I haven't decided if I'm going to pick up the second one yet. It definitely left us on a big cliffhanger and set up for a lot more to happen after that. So I may pick it up again, we'll see. And then lastly, just today I've started The Brethren Rise by C.D. Holland, and I've just begun it. I'm not very far in, 2 chapters in or so. So I'm starting this one, and I'm excited to get through it. I've had it in my bookshelf for a while, and I'm glad that I'm going to get to read it before the year is out. So yeah, that's my update for you all. We'll see you guys next time.
So I am still reading Oathbringer. I'm trying to finish it as quickly as I can, but it's just a big book and it's taking a long time. And I've got a lot of books left to read in this month. So anyways, I am on chapter 96, which is page 895. So I've basically got 400 pages left. So that is part 4 of 5 parts of this book. I am So I'm getting close to the end now. Definitely in the, like I mentioned last time, how he splits it up into kind of 3 books inside. I'm definitely in that 3rd book now. So I'm coming towards the climax of this specific book, and it's, unless something changes in the future, it may be my favorite of the Stormlight books that I've read. I haven't read Rhythm of War yet, obviously, but everybody seems to say that it's their least favorite, and so far I haven't seen that to be the case, but I haven't finished it yet. I mean, a lot can change in 400 pages. That's like an entire novel for most people. So I'm still seeing where it takes me, but I'll hopefully finish it pretty soon. I'm hoping to finish this soon as I possibly can. I mean, I'm in the middle of a book. I don't have a whole lot to talk about, but it is interesting, and I'm finding it very fun to read. Sanderson will do something, and I'm like, and so I'll like stop reading for the book, and then I'll be like, but I can't just stop there. I have to find out what happened. He's obviously got my attention with the book, and I'm just slowly working my way through it to the end. Yeah, we will talk to you guys later.